down. Now this wanderer said, people, what is it you honor more and value more than any other thing? And all agreed and said blocks. The newly arrived wanderer said, well, let me help you build a place of honor, to give honor to the blocks. And so it was that a house of worship was built, and the people called themselves blockheads, and it was okay. And time passes. One fine morning there arose a dispute who owned a particular block. Now living among the wanderers was a very, very large man. All the people looked up to him because they couldn't help it. So they said to the big man, tell us who owns this block, for it is disputed territory. And the big guy said, no one owns it, it belongs to us all, and no one can have it. And the big man sat down on the block, and the people said, all hail, big wise guy. And government was born, and time passed on. Now it came to pass that the women of this newly governed place became irritable, for they were working their tails off literally, taking care of hearth and home and lots of children. The women were so tired that they retired early in the evening, and this presented a problem since it was found that this was the exact time to formulate more children. That is how a place of blocks grows. The women all went to see the big guy, who was by this time the government, and they all said, too many children, what shall we do? The big guy said, aha, for he did not know what he was going to say next, having no clue. Then he proclaimed, let us take blocks and build a place for the little bastards to go during the day to release you from your burden. And thus it was that schools came to the place made of blocks, and all the kiddies were taught by the blockheads that could talk the loudest and the longest, and these became teachers. The time passed. One day disaster struck, and the big guy fell off his block and died. All the people wailed and wept except for the two who coveted the block where the big guy had sat. So it was that the people were asked to decide which of these two should sit on the block, and the people shrugged their shoulders and said, hell if we know. So it was decided that the two coveters of the block would throw mud at each other from sunup to sundown. The one who was covered with the least amount of mud declared the blocker. And thus came about the first political campaign and election, and time passed. Now this is the end of the story, except to say that along the way there came stores and banks and bars and jails and more places to worship the block, but in many different ways. And there was an army, and they made war just for something to do, and this led to big business and the fashioning of implements of war, and it led to the making of universities where extra wise people mixed up liquids and made all sorts of deadly weapons. One day, wouldn't you just know it, some of the liquid spilled and formed a vapor, and one by one the men, the women, and the children all died. And time passed. Once upon a time there was this block which blocked the way of lonesome traveler. The end.